$1 million sounds like a huge budget. Then you start shopping on the west side of Los Angeles, and suddenly you're like, wait, what is happening? Because in one neighborhood, $1 million might get you a cute condo near the coast. In another area, it might get you a townhome with more space, but not the exact location you pictured. And if you're hoping for a single-family home, that budget may come with older finishes, repairs, a smaller layout, or a renovation list that starts getting a little too personal. That's where buyers get thrown off. It's not that $1 million is not a serious budget. It absolutely is. But on the west side, that budget does not buy the same thing everywhere. Santa Monica is different from Culver City. Venice is different from Playa Vista. Marina del Rey is different from West LA. And that same number can feel completely different depending on whether you care more about location, space, condition, parking, HOA dues, outdoor space, or how easy the home is to live in every day. So if you're looking around the west side and thinking, how does this still feel confusing with the $1 million budget? You are not being dramatic. This market really does make you choose. And the goal of this video is not to tell you whether $1 million is enough or not enough. The real goal is to help you understand what that budget actually gets you, what it usually does not get you, and which trade-offs may actually make sense for your life. And if you are already searching, comment which West Side area you keep coming back to. Santa Monica, Venice, Playa Vista, Culver City, Marina del Rey, West LA, or somewhere else. I'm always curious where people start before they see how different these areas really are. Let's start with the thing that makes this whole search easier. Around $1 million on the west side, you are usually choosing between three big priorities: location, space, and condition. Most buyers want all three. Of course you do. You want the great location, the beautiful updated home, the parking, the outdoor space, the manageable monthly payment, and ideally a kitchen that does not look like it has been through three different design eras. Totally fair. But the west side usually makes you pick your top priority. If location is the main thing, you may have to be flexible on size or property type. If space matters most, you may need to move the map a little. And if you want something updated and easy, the trade-off might show up in the form of HOA dues, less outdoor space, or a neighborhood that was not originally at the top of your list. That is not meant to scare you. It is meant to save you from wasting months chasing a version of the market that does not really exist. Because once you know what you care about most, the search gets a lot less chaotic. Now, let's talk about the coastal areas first, because this is where a lot of people start. Santa Monica, Venice, Marina del Rey. These are the places people picture when they say they want the LA lifestyle. The ocean is nearby. There are coffee shops, restaurants, workout studios, walking areas, and that whole I live near the beach now feeling. And I get it. That lifestyle is a real draw. But this is also where $1 million can start to feel smaller than expected. In these areas, condos may become a much bigger part of the search. The square footage can be tighter. Some buildings have more age to them. Parking may take more attention than you expected. Outdoor space can be limited. And HOA dues can change the monthly payment pretty quickly. This is where buyers sometimes make the mistake of only looking at the listing price. They see the purchase price and think, okay, this could work. Then they look at the HOA and suddenly the math feels different. Now, HOA dues are not automatically bad. Sometimes they cover things that genuinely make your life easier. Maintenance, building insurance, security, water, trash, common areas, a gym, a pool, or amenities you would actually use. But that's the key. Would you actually use them? Because paying for amenities you love feels very different from paying for amenities you forget exist. So if you're looking near the coast, the question is not just, can I afford this condo? It is, do I actually want this version of ownership? Maybe the space is smaller, but the location makes your life better. Maybe the HOA is higher, but the convenience is worth it. Maybe you do not get a yard, but your real routine is more about walking to coffee, getting outside, being near restaurants, and having the beach close by. For the right buyer, that trade-off can make a lot of sense. But if you need more space, want more control, do not like monthly dues, and only kind of care about being close to the water, a coastal condo may not be the best fit just because it sounds like the dream. That's the difference. You're not just buying the address, you are buying the daily experience. Now, if you shift a little more inland, the budget can start to feel different. Think Culver City, parts of West LA, Palms, and nearby areas depending on what is available. This is where buyers often start to breathe a little. Larger condos may show up. Townhomes may become more realistic. Parking can be less painful. Layouts may feel more functional. And your day-to-day routine may actually get easier because you are closer to work, errands, restaurants, shopping, gyms, or the parts of LA you visit most often. This is where I always want buyers to be honest with themselves. How often are you really going to the beach? Not the fantasy version of you, the real version. The one who has work, errands, groceries, laundry, dinner plans, traffic, and about 12 things to do before Thursday. If you genuinely use the beach all the time, amazing, prioritize that. But if what you really want is a home that makes your actual week easier, then a slightly more central area may be a better fit than the most coastal option. That's why Culver City and West LA can be so interesting. They may not give you the exact same beach identity as Santa Monica or Venice, but they can give you a very livable version of the Westside. More function, more access, sometimes more space, sometimes better parking, sometimes a property type that just fits your life better. This is also where townhomes become a real part of the conversation. A townhome can be a great middle ground. You may get more room than a condo, a garage, multiple levels, a small patio, a balcony, or maybe a rooftop deck. It can feel more like a home without giving you the full maintenance load of a detached house. But townhomes are not magic. They still come with trade-offs. There may be an HOA. Shared walls can still be a part of the deal. Stairs can get old faster than you think. And sometimes the outdoor space looks amazing in photos, but in real life, it's more cute place to stand with a coffee than an actual usable yard. So if you're considering a townhome, ask yourself what problem you are trying to solve. Is the goal more space, better parking, a newer layout, lower maintenance, a stronger location without taking on a full single-family home? If that is what you need, a townhome might be a really smart fit. But if your heart is set on a yard, full privacy, room to expand, and more control, then a townhome may leave you feeling like you compromised on the thing you cared about most. That is the part you want to figure out before you buy. Now, let's talk about single-family homes, because this is where the million-dollar conversation gets real very quickly. A lot of buyers hear million-dollar budget and picture a polished house in a prime Westside location. Then they start searching and realize the options may be very different from what they had in mind. You may find a house, but the trade-off might be the location, the condition, the layout, or the amount of work needed after closing. And that's where people get caught off guard. Not because the budget is bad, because the Westside doesn't usually hand you the perfect house, perfect location, updated finishes, easy parking, outdoor space, and comfortable monthly payments all in one clean little package. Very rude of it, honestly. But that does not mean a single-family home is the wrong move. For some buyers, it's absolutely worth it. You get more privacy, you get more control, you may get outdoor space. You are not dealing with shared walls in the same way. You have more freedom to make the home feel like yours over time. That part is exciting. The part buyers need to be honest about is what happens after closing. With a house, the maintenance is not tucked into an HOA the same way it might be with a condo. If something needs attention, it's yours to handle. The roof, the plumbing, the electrical, the landscaping, the random noise that starts at 10 p.m. and suddenly becomes your entire personality until someone figures out what it is. That's home ownership. So the question is not just, can I buy the house? The better question is, can I comfortably own it after I buy it? Because if the purchase stretches you so much that repairs, updates, insurance, landscaping, or basic maintenance feel overwhelming, the dream can turn stressful fast. A single-family home can be a great choice if you want privacy, control, and long-term flexibility. Just make sure you are budgeting for the full ownership experience, not just the price you see online. Now, this is where I would love to know what feels most confusing in your search. Is it the price, the HOA dues, the neighborhood differences, the size of the home, the condition, or are you still trying to figure out what is realistic? Comment that below, because that is usually the point where buyers realize listings alone are not enough. You need context. Now, let's talk through a few areas people ask about most. Starting with Santa Monica. Santa Monica is expensive for obvious reasons. You have coastal access, restaurants, shopping, and certain pockets that offer a very walkable lifestyle. It also has that classic Westside feeling people picture when they think about moving to LA. But around $1 million, expectations matter. Condos may be the main conversation here. The building matters. The HOA matters. Parking matters. The condition of the unit matters. Even the exact part of Santa Monica can change the experience. For some buyers, the trade-off is completely worth it. They would rather have less space and be in a location they love. For others, the same budget may feel frustrating because they expected more room, more outdoor space, or more control. Neither reaction is wrong. It just depends on what you actually value. If Santa Monica is part of your real routine, not just your dream version of LA, it may be worth the premium. But if you're choosing it because it sounds like the obvious answer, compare it to the nearby areas before you actually commit emotionally. Now, Venice. Venice has a very specific personality. It can be creative, stylish, eclectic, energetic, and very different block by block. Some people love that. Other people visit once and realize this may not be my everyday life. Both reactions are valid. Around $1 million, the exact pocket matters a lot. So does the property type, parking, layout, condition, and how the area feels during the times you will actually be there. That last part matters. A neighborhood can feel amazing on a sunny Saturday afternoon and very different on a weekday morning when you are trying to park, get to work, walk the dog, or run errands. So with Venice, do not just buy the aesthetics. Make sure the daily version works for you. Now, Playa Vista. Playa Vista is a totally different conversation. It often appeals to buyers who want convenience, newer buildings, amenities, and a more planned out environment. Around $1 million, you may see condos or townhomes that feel more modern, functional, and easier to live in than some older inventory in other areas. But Playa Vista does not feel like Santa Monica or Venice. And that's the point. It's more polished, more organized, more predictable. For some buyers, that's exactly the appeal. They want convenience, amenities, easier daily living, and something that feels less chaotic. For others, it may not have the coastal or eclectic feeling they imagined when they pictured LA. Again, that's not good or bad. It is fit. And fit matters more than what looks trendy online. Now, Culver City. Culver City can make a lot of sense if you want Westside access, but do not need to be directly coastal. You have restaurants, shopping, entertainment, office access, and a location that can be practical for a lot of daily routines. Around $1 million, the search may include condos, townhomes, or nearby single-family options depending on the condition, timing, and the exact area. The trade-off is that Culver City is not trying to be Santa Monica. It doesn't have to be. It does not need to be. It may give you a more functional version of Westside living. And for a lot of buyers, that is the better choice. The goal is not to choose the neighborhood name that sounds the most impressive. The goal is to choose the place where your life actually works. Now, Marina del Rey. Marina del Rey can be attractive if you want proximity to the water, condo options, amenities, and a more relaxed coastal feel. Around $1 million, condos and townhome style options may be a part of the search. And once again, HOA dues matter. You need to know what the building offers, what the monthly cost includes, how parking works, and whether the amenities actually make your life better. Because a beautiful building is great, but a building that fits your actual routine is better. So when you compare these areas, do not think of it as simply choosing the best one. That question will make you crazy. The better question is, which version of daily life do I want? Maybe coastal access matters more than square footage. Maybe a newer building and easier maintenance would give you more peace of mind. Maybe being central is more important than being closest to the beach. Maybe privacy is worth the extra maintenance. Or maybe your budget goes further if you widen the map a little. That is why the same $1 million can feel exciting to one buyer and disappointing to another. It depends on what you expected it to do. If you expect it to buy everything, the Westside can feel discouraging. But once you understand the trade-offs, the search gets calmer. You stop asking, why is everything so expensive? And you start asking, which trade-off am I actually okay with? That is a much better question. So before you get too deep into listings, ask yourself this: do I care more about location or space? Because that will narrow the search fast. If location is the priority, you may need to be flexible on size, condition, or property type. If space is the priority, you may need to look at different pockets or be open to homes that need updates. Next, do you want newer and easier or older with more potential? Newer usually feels simpler at the beginning. Older can offer charm, location, or long-term upside, but it may come with more projects. How do you feel about HOA dues? Not just whether you can afford them. How do you feel about paying them every month? If they cover things you value, great. If not, they may annoy you every single month, and that is not a smart thing. how important is parking? This is not the glamorous part of the search. But in LA, parking can affect your life more than the pretty kitchen you saw in the photos. And how much maintenance do you actually want? Be honest, not fantasy you, the real you. Do you want to call vendors, deal with repairs, handle landscaping, budget for upgrades? Or do you want something that feels easier from the beginning? Those answers matter. Because the best home is not always the biggest home. It is not always the newest home. It is not always the closest home to the beach. The best fit is the one that still makes sense after the excitement wears off and real life starts. That is where buyers get clarity. A condo can be the right answer when location and convenience matter most. A townhome can make sense when you want more function without every responsibility that comes with a detached house. And if privacy, control, and long-term flexibility are high priorities, a single-family home may be worth the extra maintenance. Different choices, different trade-offs, different ownership experiences. And none of them are automatically better. They just need to match the life you are actually trying to build here. If you're coming from another market, this can be the hardest adjustment. In some cities, $1 million gives you a very clear picture. In Los Angeles, especially on the West Side, it can mean several very different paths. That does not mean you are behind. It means you are learning how this market works. Maybe you're used to more space. Maybe you are used to newer homes. Maybe parking was easier where you lived before. Maybe the monthly payment felt more predictable. Maybe $1 million meant something completely different. That adjustment can be frustrating, but it is also normal. Once you understand the trade-offs, the search becomes much less overwhelming. So here's the honest summary. If you want to be close to the coast, expect to be more flexible on space, monthly cost, or property type. If you want more function and central access, areas like Culver City, West LA, Palms, and nearby pockets may be worth comparing. If you want newer buildings, amenities, and convenience, Playa Vista may be worth understanding. If you want personality and a distinct neighborhood feel, Venice may be worth exploring carefully. If you want privacy and a single-family home, be ready to think seriously about condition, maintenance, and whether the search area or budget needs to change. And if you want everything at once, the Westside will happily charge you for that. Very generously. But the good news is, you do not need everything. You need the right things. The right location for your routine. The right property type for your lifestyle. The right monthly payment for your comfort level. The right trade-off for your long-term goals. That's how you make $1 million work smarter in Los Angeles. Not by chasing the biggest home, not by chasing the trendiest neighborhood, not by assuming the most expensive option is automatically the best fit. You make it work by understanding what that budget really buys, what it does not, and which compromise you can actually live with. So if you're exploring the West Side, start with this. What matters most right now? Location, space, condition. Then ask yourself, what am I willing to give up to get that? And finally, will this still feel like the right choice 6 months after I move in? Because the listing can show you the photos. It can show you the price. It can show you the square footage. But it cannot show you how that decision is going to feel when it becomes your actual life. That's where strategy matters. If you're thinking about buying on the West Side and trying to understand what your budget can actually do, reach out and we can talk through the areas, property types, and trade-offs that make the most sense for your goals. And if you want more honest Los Angeles real estate and neighborhood guidance, subscribe to the channel. I'll keep breaking down what buyers really need to understand before making a move here. Also, comment below which Westside area you are most curious about, because that tells me what to break down next.